Regulation and marketing to children. The regulation of marketing activities aimed to children focuses primarily on product safety, advertising and promotions, and privacy protection. Product safety issues focus on appropriate product design and materials. We will concentrate on privacy protection and advertising and other promotional activities, targeting children as consumers. The regulation of these activities rests heavily on theories of children's consumer behavior, particularly their information processing skills. There are a variety of state, federal, and voluntary guidelines and rules governing marketing to children. Despite these rules, many feel that some marketers continue to take advantage of children and that the overall marketing system, particularly advertising, is socializing children to value things rather than intangibles such as relationship and integrity. Concerns about the ability of children to comprehend commercial messages. The American advertising industry's primary self-regulatory body, the National Advertising Division of the Council of Better Business Bureaus, maintains a special unit to review advertising aimed at children, the Children's Advertising Review Unit. Four of the 8 principles that underlie CARE's guidelines for advertising directed to the children relate to their ability to comprehend commercial messages. 1. Advertisers have special responsibilities when advertising to children or collecting data from children online. They should take into account the limited knowledge, experience, sophistication, and maturity of the audience to which the message is directed. They should recognize that younger children have a limited capacity to evaluate the credibility of information. Number 2. Advertising should be neither deceptive nor unfair, as these terms are applied under the Federal Trade Commission Act to the children to whom it is directed. Number 3. Advertisers should have adequate substantiation for objective advertising claims, as those claims are reasonably interpreted by the children to whom they are directed. Number 4. Advertising should not stimulate children's unreasonable expectations about product quality or performance. Concerns about the effects of the content of commercial messages on children. Even if children accurately comprehend television ads, there are concerns about the effects of the content of these messages on children. These concerns stem in part from the substantial amount of time American children spend viewing television. The large amount of time children devote to watching television, including commercials, gives the rise to 2 major areas of concern. Number 1. The impact of commercial messages on children's values. Number 2. The impact of commercial messages on children's health and safety. 4 of the 8 basic principles on the underlying CARE's guidelines for advertising directed at children focus on these concerns. Number 1. Products and contents inappropriate for children should not be advertised directly to them. Number 2. Advertisers should avoid social stereotyping and appeals to prejudice, and are encouraged to incorporate minority and other groups in advertisements and to prevent positive role models whenever possible. Number 3. Advertisers are encouraged to capitalize on the potential of advertising to serve an educational role and influence positive personal qualities and behaviors in children. For example, being honest and respectful of others. Number 4. Although there are many influences that affects a child's personal and social development, it remains the prime responsibility of the parents to provide guidance for children. Advertisers should contribute to this parent-child relationship in a constructive manner.
Health and safety. Ensuring that advertisements portray only safe uses of products is sometimes difficult, but it's not a controversial area. Advertising of health-related products, particularly snack foods and cereals, is much more controversial. Examples of specific guidelines of the Children's Advertising Review Unit. Advertising should not urge children to ask the parents or others to buy products. It should not suggest that a parent or adult who purchases a product or service for a child is better, more intelligent, or more generous than one who does not. Advertisers should not convey to children that the possession of a product will result in greater acceptance by peers or lack of a product will result in less acceptance by peers. Advertisements should not portray adults or children in unsafe situations or in act harmful to themselves or others. For example, when activities such as bicycle riding or skateboarding are shown, proper precautions and safety equipment should be depicted. When an activity would be unsafe without adult supervision should not be depicted. And last, advertising should not portray or encourage behavior inappropriate for children or include material that could unduly frighten or provoke anxiety in children. Nor should advertisers targeting children's display or knowingly link to pages of a website that portrays such as behaviors or materials. CARU or CARU challenged a television commercial for four-wheelers by Skechers, which ran during traditional children's viewing time. The ad featured teens skating and performing a stunt without the use of any safety gear such as helmets or pads. According to CARU, this violates the third guideline. Values. Advertising is frequently criticized as fostering overly materialistic, self-focused, and short-term values in children. We cannot afford to raise a generation of children that measures its own value by the insignia on their clothes, not by the compassion in their hearts or the knowledge in their minds. Next, summary of advertising and children. Available evidence suggests that the vast majority of ads meet CARU guidelines. CARU reviews thousands of ads every year and has over a 95% success rate in resolving issues related to children's advertising. However, given the enormous amount of time children spend with all forms of media, most will see many ads that are in violation of these guidelines. Clearly, CARU does not cover all aspects of advertising. Controversial marketing activities aimed at children. There are a number of marketing activities targeted at children in addition to television advertising that are controversial and for which various regulatory proposals are being considered. Three additional issues are described in this section, namely mobile marketing, commercialization of schools, and internet marketing. Mobile marketing and children. Sometimes referred to as the third screen, cell phones are an increasingly integral part of our lives. And marketers see younger children as the next big growth market. A considerable proportion of those in their teen years and younger have a cell phones. Various types of promotional efforts are being used, including ringtones, mobile games, texting contests, and mobile advertising. The ability of marketers to infiltrate yet another media domain with promotions and materials that are seen as further blurring the line between advertising and entertainment has many parents and consumer advocate groups worried.
Commercialization of schools. There has been ongoing concern and controversy around the commercialization of elementary and high schools. Schools are often motivated by money as budgets continue to be tight. The issue of uncommercialization covers a broad sphere of activities. Consumers Union has the following classification system. In school ads. Ads in such places as school buses, scoreboards, bulletin boards, as well as coupons and free samples. Ads in classroom. Ads in classroom, magazine, and television programs. This also includes ads magazine distributed in school libraries. Channel 1 has created substantial controversy in this area. It provides 12 minutes of news to participating schools but contains 2 minutes of commercials. Research indicates that the commercials have an impact on students. Corporate-sponsored educational materials and program, also called Sponsored Educational Materials or SEMS. SEMS are technique materials provided by corporation, usually for free. They come in various forms including posters, activity sheets, and multimedia teaching aids. While many criteria can be used to evaluate three materials, one of the main criteria is the level of communication. Highly commercialized SEMs that are thinly veiled ads with little educational value draw the most scrutiny. Corporate-sponsored contests and incentive programs. When companies gain access through various contests and incentives including prizes such as travel and free pizza.
Internet marketing and children. Children are major users of the internet. Not surprisingly, marketers use the internet to communicate with kids. We have here two major concerns that have emerged. First, invading children's privacy, and second, exploitation of children through manipulative sales techniques. Concern regarding manipulative internet practices often revolves around the creation of sites that blur the line between entertainment and advertising. This goes back to concerns touched on earlier in terms of difficulties that children have in discerning selling intent and their ability to distinguish commercial from non-commercial content. Advert games are just one area of concern. These customized games, which are placed on a company's website, prominently feature or integrate the company's brands and products as part of the game itself. Young children have a difficult time understanding the difference between content and advertising. Advert games are a little of both, and in that sense, make it even tougher for younger children, especially to recognize selling intent. Children's online privacy issues. Online privacy relates to the collection and use of information from websites. Collecting information from children is a sensitive issue, as well it should be, given all we know about their information processing deficits relative to those of adults. Concern over the invasion of children's privacy prompted Congress to pass the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, or COPPA, in October 1998. It authorizes the FTC to develop specific rules to implement the provisions of the Act. In 1999, the FTC issued the Children's Online Privacy Protection Rule, also referred to as the Rule. The rules became effective in April 2000 and appeared to be working, although clearly ongoing diligence on the part of the FTC and commercial entities is required. Key provisions of the rule under COPPA. The rule applies to A. Operators of commercial websites or online services directed to children under 13 that collect personal information from children. B. Operators of general audience sites that knowingly collect personal information from children under 13. And lastly, operators of general audience sites that have a separate children's area and that collect personal information from children. Non-profits are not covered. Privacy policy. Post privacy policy on the homepage of the website and link to the privacy policy everywhere personal information is collected. Next, parental notice. Provide parents notice about the site's information collection practices and, with some exceptions, get verifiable parental consent before collecting personal information from children. Parental consent give parents the choice to consent to the collection and use of a child's personal information for internal use by the website, and give them the chance to choose not to have that personal information disclosed to third parties. Parental access provide parents access to the child's information and the opportunity to delete the information and opt out of the future collection or use of the information. Conditional access. Do not condition a child's participation in an activity on the disclosure of more personal information that is reasonably necessary for the activity. Confidentiality. Maintain the confidentiality, security, and integrity of the personal information collected from children. Regulation and marketing to adults. Regulation of marketing activities aimed at adults focuses on numerous issues, including privacy, marketing communications, product features, and pricing practices. We deal with each of these in this section. Consumer privacy. Today, the major focus of adult online privacy issues relates to the internet and the way in which those earlier problems and issues are magnified given the speed and ease of information gathering and combination that is now possible. With adult privacy issues, the FTC has been hesitant to craft specific legislation. Instead, it offered guidelines under a notice and choice approach, indicating that consumer-oriented commercial websites that collect personal identifying information from or about consumers should comply with four standards. First, notice of information collection and sharing practices. Second, choice as to how personally identifying information or PII is used. Third, access to their information and to correct or delete information. And lastly, security firms should ensure that the collected information is secure. Marketing communications. There are three major concerns focused on the information that marketers provide to consumers, generally in the form of advertisements. First, the accuracy of information provided. Second, the adequacy of the information provided. And lastly, the cumulative impact of marketing information on society's values. We will briefly look at advertising's impact on society's values before focusing on the accuracy and adequacy of consumer information. Advertising and values. We discussed the impact of advertising on values in the previous section on advertising to children. The concern is the same for advertising directed at adults. The long-term effect of a constant flow of messages emphasizing materialistic or narcissistic values may be negative for both individuals and society. For example, many feel that the ads for Axe body products for men objectify young women. Indeed, major controversy erupted when it was discovered that Dove, the brand that is actively promoting realistic body images and offering resources to women to feel better about their physical appearance, is owned by Unilever, the same company that owns and markets Axe. Consumer information accuracy. Accuracy in consumer reports is of a vital importance to the consumer reporting system, particularly as consumer reports play an increasingly important role. Consumer reporting agencies assemble and evaluate credit, public record, and other. Like for instance, if a sales lady tells you, "My product is the best there is," so how would you interpret this? Of course, we have different interpretations in such things. And because of these problems, various businesses, consumer groups, and regulatory agencies are deeply concerned with the interpretation of marketing messages and deceptive advertising. However, determining the exact meaning of a marketing message is not a simple process, nor is judging whether an ad is deceptive or not. Corrective advertising. This is advertising run by a firm to cause consumers to unlearn inaccurate information they acquired as a result of the firm's earlier advertising. Adequacy of consumer information. It is important that consumers have not only accurate information but adequate information as well. To ensure information adequacy, a number of laws have been passed, such as the Federal Truth in Lending legislation, like nutritional labeling, Nutritional labeling has been required for years and was significantly revised in 1990. Research findings on the impact of such labels are mixed, but the labels do provide valuable information to many consumers. A consistent stream of consumer behavior research since these rules were enacted has uncovered a number of potential improvements in the manner in which the information should be presented. A more recent FDA labeling rule deals with trans fats, while the Nutritional Labeling and Education Act or NLEA of 1990 led to the nutrition fact packs on food packaging that includes a line for total fat. This rule requires a line for trans fats as well.
Product issues. Consumer groups have two major concerns with products. Are they safe and are they environmentally sound? A variety of federal and state agencies are involved in ensuring that products are safely used. The most important are the Food and Drug Administration and the Consumer Product Safety Commission. Product safety is generally not a controversial issue. However, it is impossible to remove all risk from products. Any issue relating to a potential safety hazard or unsafe condition caused by or associated with such product. Any issue related to the quality of the product, including but not limited to manufacturing or design defects that may impact the quality of the products, labeling, packaging, declared net contents, ingredients or formula, or advisements of an issue condition stipulated by any governmental authority having jurisdiction over such products. Pricing issues. Consumer groups want prices that are fair, generally defined as competitively determined and accurately stated, contains no hidden charge. Perhaps the most controversial pricing area today is the use of reference prices. An external reference price is a price provided by the manufacturer or retailer in addition to the actual current price of the product. The concern arises when the reference price is one at which no or few sales actually occur. Most states and the federal government have regulations concerning the use of reference prices, but they are difficult to enforce. Given the history of abuse of reference prices, it is not surprising that many consumers are skeptical of them. Summary. Explain the two major concerns in marketing to children that Cara deals with. Marketing to children is a major concern to regulators and consumer groups. One major reason for this concern is evidence based on Piaget's theory of cognitive development that children are not able to fully comprehend commercial messages. Comprehension here has two dimensions. The first is that children often don't understand the persuasive intent of commercials. The second is that children often don't comprehend specific words and phrases. A second reason for concern over marketing to children is the potential effects it has on their safety and values. Caro Children's Advertising Review Unit of the Better Business Bureau has specific voluntary guidelines by which it evaluates advertisements targeted at children. Describe the various marketing activities aimed at children that are controversial. There are a number of marketing activities aimed at children other than television advertising that cause concerns. Marketing to children through mobile devices is an emerging concern. Corporate programs that place strong sales messages in educational materials supplied to schools have also come under attack. Children's advocates are now particularly concerned about marketing to children on the internet. The federal government has passed legislation to protect children's online privacy called COPPA, Children's Online Privacy Protection Act. Caro also has guidelines on this topic. Discuss new guidelines by the FTC regarding online privacy protection for adults. With adult privacy issues, the FTC has been hesitant to craft specific legislation. However, in response to the rapidly changing online environment, and in particular in response to the increased use of covert behavioral tracking and targeting of consumers online, the FTC has recently put forth a new framework and guidelines that deal with designing privacy into organization, simplifying consumer choice choice in the area of privacy, and offering greater transparency and simplicity of privacy practices and statements. A major emerging aspect of privacy relates to consumer choice to have their online searching and browsing behavior tracked. The FTC is supportive of a do not track approach to this issue, which would allow consumers to opt out if they wish. Explain marketing communication issues related to adults, including deceptive advertising. There is concern about the cumulative effect of advertising on adult values, just as there is with children. In addition, regulators and businesses alike are concerned that adults receive accurate and adequate information about products. Accuracy of information relates to deceptive advertising, and it is important to keep in mind that the FTC examines ads in terms of the truthfulness of both their claims and implications. Pragmatic implications are one form of implication and are the implied meaning that are neither directly stated nor logically implied that consumers derive when interpreting language in a practical way. Regulation is also focused on the amount of information provided. The assumption that appears to underlie much of this legislation is that more or full information is desirable. However, intuition and research suggest that too much information can lead to overload and suboptimal consumer outcomes. Discuss regulation concern when marketing to adults as they relate to product and price. The focus of consumer concern and regulation of product is twofold. One, are they safe? And two, are they environmentally sound? Concern with pricing is that price be fair and accurately presented in a manner that allows comparison across brands.